Oh. Oh, for some reason, the Zoom is now off. Jesus. Got it.
So Senator Watson, he's zooming. And council is zooming. Let's get it ready on the screen. Off we go. I'm going to ask this you how to focus on the changes. Rather than sort of holistically. Turn around, I would also ask Ashley to check in with the Senate Secretary. Can we, all members of the
Right.
participate in joining?
Hey there, can you hear me?
Yes.
You can. Oh, the video just came on. That's great. Okay, I can see you now. And oh, now you're gone.
Want me to turn this down?
I can't hear.
I can still see them.
Okay. So
Oh, it's Ellen.
it smells great in here. Hey, it smells like oranges. I don't know what happened. So with that, Ms. Kowski, can we focus on changes since we're losing time fast and pick up at line 8 on page 17? Thank you. For additional changes, I'll ask people to hold them until we finish blocking down the current highlighted changes.
Okay, so on page 17, line 8, we're still in the default delivery agent section. So this is
That's better.
the use of the default delivery agent. Line 9, an obligated party shall meet its annual obligation through a designated default delivery agent appointed by the commission, unless the obligated party elects to meet its requirement in whole or in part through one or more of the mechanisms under 8122C. So that is the list of either installing measures yourself, hiring a contractor to install measures, or purchasing credits for installed measures. So this is a change to require obligated parties to use the default delivery agent unless they opt to use a combination of the other mechanisms. So the commission shall provide a form for an obligated party to indicate its election to meet its requirement. The form shall require sufficient information to determine the nature of the credits that the default delivery agent will be responsible to deliver if the obligated party elects to meet its obligation in part. The commission shall make such elections known to the default delivery agent as soon as practicable. So this is a new concept from yesterday. This is the default delivery agent requiring an opt-out, or the language that's used in this section is election, which means picking which method you would use. So the commission shall, by rule or order, establish a standard timeline under which the default delivery agent credit costs or costs are established, and by which the obligated party must file its election form. The commission shall provide no less than 120 days notice of default delivery agent credit costs or costs to the deadline for an obligated party to file its election form, so an obligated party can assess options and inform the commission of its intent to procure credits in whole or in part as a fulfillment of its requirements.
Great. Can I point out typo? Line 21, page 17, missing period. All right, onward. Let's figure it out.
Oh,
Say it
yes.
while I see it. Thanks.
This draft is unedited. It will hopefully be edited tonight.
Right.
Please excuse other typos.
Trying to chip in when I see something. Thank you. Let's keep going at line 5.
Page 18, line 5. The default delivery agent shall deliver creditable clean heat measures either directly or indirectly to end-use customers' locations in Vermont sufficient to meet the total aggregated annual requirement assigned to it pursuant to this subsection, along with any additional amount achievable through non-compliance payments as described in subdivision G2. So what's going to happen is the commission is going to ask obligated parties to tell it how they plan to meet their obligation, how much they're going to opt out of using the default delivery agent. The PUC will then tell the default delivery agent how many credits the default delivery agent is going to need to provide in order to meet that amount. The earlier phrase nature of the credits at least partially refers to the fact that some of these credits are going to need to come from low income customers and moderate income customers, and so, as well as specific installed measures for those customers. So that is part of the information that the DDA is going to need. And then the default delivery agent is going to need to set their budget related to this amount that they're going to be required to get. And that process is described on page 19.
Okay, let's go to 19. Thank you.
Budget. The commission shall open a proceeding on or before July 1, 2023, and every 3 years thereafter to establish the default delivery agent credit cost or costs for subsequent 3-year period. The proceeding shall include an initial potential study conducted by the Department of Public Service to include a quantification of available thermal resources, thermal market conditions, and statewide and regional thermal workforce characteristics. The development of a 3-year plan and associated proposed budget by the default delivery agent, and opportunity for public participation. Once the commission provides the default delivery agent with the obligated party's election information, the default delivery agent shall be granted the opportunity to amend its plan and budget before the commission.
Great.
E is just referencing that the compliance funds, so any enforcement funds gained by the PUC for lack of compliance will be used by the DDA for low-income customer measures. And then specific programs, the default delivery agent shall create specific programs for multi-unit dwellings owned or operated by a nonprofit organization or condo association, or for manufactured homes, so these groups can have an equal opportunity to benefit from the clean heat standard. Senator Watson, I didn't get your email last night, so I didn't have your language. So I don't know how close I came.
Okay. It was close. One of the actually, I think I have the language here. So at one point I had thought about places that were owned or operated by nonprofits, but I think I would want to make it just more general. So I mostly was just, I'm having a hard time finding where this is corresponding to. Oh, there it is. Okay. So I might just, if I were to suggest some modifications, I would take out the part that said owned and operated by a nonprofit. So it just includes multi-unit dwellings generally. Like that condo associations are in there. I like that manufactured homes are in there. And I would like to call out renters specifically. Even if we could just say, program for renters. Because multifamily buildings doesn't necessarily, like, there is a Venn diagram there with rentals in multifamily dwellings, but it is not wholly overlapped with renters. So if we could even just call out renters.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you could huddle up with council prior to the drafting of 5.1 and just help nail that down. So we see what you would like in 5.1. I would ask that we go on, knowing that there's going to be something coming back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, sounds good.
So that's the end of the DDA section. The next section on page 20 is all existing language. But I have rearranged it so that all of the rulemaking language is in one section on its own, which is now 8126.
So let's go to credit ownership line, page 21, line 13, please.
So on page 21, this section is now on the on the tradable clean heat credits. That underlying program is not changing at all. It will still be created in addition to using the default delivery agent as the default. But there's new language on page 21, line 13, credit ownership. The commission, in consultation with the TAG, shall establish a standard methodology for determining what party or parties shall be the initial owner of clean heat credits upon their creation. The original owner or owners may transfer those credits to a third party or to an obligated party.
Thank you. Any questions on that one? Create a process to solve that question, which is going to get technical. All right. With that, I'd say skipping to the next highlight, which is page 23, lines 4, 5.
So on page 23, this is the list of eligible clean heat measures. This is a new concept that you discussed yesterday. I didn't have any language on it, so I again made it up. So I hope I'm close, but this is the replacement of a manufactured home with a high efficiency modular home.
It's great.
Thank you. And we do have, Ms. Collins has draft 4.1. We've asked her to review it, particularly for the housing features. So we have another set of eyes from outside on this too. Thank you. So let's go to page 24, please.
Page 24, emissions schedule. This is the change that was suggested by Rich Cowart. To promote certainty for obligated parties and clean heat providers, the commission shall, by rule or order, establish a schedule of life cycle emission rates for heating fuels and any other fuel that is used in a clean heat measure, including electricity, or is itself a clean heat measure, including biofuels.
Okay. Everyone set on that one? Someone said, what does that mean again? I just say a clean heat measure may have emissions associated with it, as in it uses electricity. So you don't want to pretend that the carbon footprint related to the electricity used by the clean heat home climate heat pumps doesn't exist. We want to get it all in, feed everything fairly. Thank you. Page 25.
Page 25. This is again, I'm not sure if I got the language correct. So for each fuel pathway, I'm on line 3. The schedule shall account for greenhouse gas emissions from biogenic and geologic sources, including fugitive emissions. In determining the baseline emission rates for clean heat measures that are fuels, emission baseline shall fully account for methane emission reductions or captures already occurring or expected to occur for each fuel pathway as a result of local, state, or federal policies that have been enacted or adopted, and deforestation.
So this is one where I think it might make sense to change this a little bit, and I'm happy to just get together with you again on this point, Ellen, and have it ready for tomorrow.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yep.
Subsection H.
Review of consequences. The commission shall biennially assess harmful consequences that may arise in Vermont and elsewhere. Such consequences shall include deforestation, conversion of grasslands, damage to watersheds, or the creation of new methane to meet fuel demand.
Any questions, comments on that one? Great, so let's go on to page 26, line 16. Thank you.
So credit eligibility, page 16, line 16. Clean heat measures delivered or installed pursuant to any local, state, or federal program or policy may count both towards goals or requirements of such programs and policies and be eligible measures that count towards the emission reduction obligations of this chapter. The owner or owners of a clean heat credit are not required to sell the credit. Regardless of the programs or pathways contributing to the clean heat credit being earned, an individual credit may be counted only once towards satisfying an obligated party's emission reduction obligation.
Senator McDowell?
Some people might just read that and go, that's double counting, but
Well, we're 3, I think, gets at that issue about, I hope.
oh, yeah. I mean, seen it a couple times.
Yeah.
Doesn't appear to be double counting message to me, but you might be able to answer, respond to that.
I'm sorry, someone came in and out and I didn't hear your question.
Clean heat measures delivered or installed, line 16.
Yeah.
And 17 may count both towards goals or requirements in one area and be eligible for something else.
Yes,
That is
policy decision.
policy decision. Is it double, does it fit into the double counting, other things that we've been criticized or entertained?
My take on this, council can help me out here. My sense is that in sub 3, that, so 1, it's anticipated that projects may be pulling incentives from multiple programs. You can be doing a tier 3 project that also is going to be, will also be part of a clean heat measure. And so we're saying that
Has more than one benefit?
more than one benefit. I think Senator White's analogy was we eat an apple, the same apple, calories and vitamins. So the same measure could give you 3 credits and tier 3 credits. The point is though, in 3, they may only be counted once towards satisfying an obligated party's emission reduction obligation.
So when it comes to the monetary sense of sense, you can't compute them, so.
Yeah, the other thing we did, and I'm gonna ask council to help me back up. Credit ownership. Sub B, line 13. Lines 13 through 17 on page 21. The commission, in consultation with the technical advisory group, shall establish a standard methodology for determining what party or parties shall be initial owner of clean heat upon creation, and then you can transfer. So there will be a methodology for giving, one thing you might call it is divvying things up, giving credit where credit is due. I think yesterday I was calling it accurate valuation. Okay, so if there are no further questions, page 29, please. Senator White.
Thank you. I do just want to go back and just reiterate the point that you made around section 21. I have a lot of trust in the creation of the tag group because I think that there could be a benefit. Like the reason I'm very comfortable with the analogy around the apple and the vitamins and the calories and all of that as we relate to this bill is I also have trust in the tag group to properly allocate how those credits are being created so that they're stacked in a way that gives the majority of the best incentive possible to a homeowner or renter. Because I'm worried if we were to take this language out, that we end up with situations where people aren't getting like a stacked incentive, when in reality, some measures are doing two really good things at the same time.
Thank you, Senator White. Okay, so page 29, line 19, please.
Page 29, subsection B is regarding the qualifications members of the tag should have, and it is added in addition to all the other expertise categories, land use changes and deforestation as expertise a tag member could have.
Okay, I see a thumbs up from Senator Watson. Any other questions? I see another thumbs up. Onward. We have page 32, line 10, just a grammatical edit. Well,
I mean, I think it's more than a grammar. This is the equity advisory group membership, and this is dividing the members who can be appointed. So it's separating renters from rental property owners.
right. Thank you. I shouldn't have characterized it that way. It was important. Landlords and tenants don't have the same interests, so they're called out separately. Thank you. That top of page 36, I see another edit.
Well, so 36, actually on line 1, this is the advertising section. The word currently in the bill has been shall, is shall, and has been shall. You haven't talked about this section in quite a while. I was wondering if it still made sense. So this requires the commission to use funding on advertising public meetings. So this is more of a flag. It wasn't a change, but so you can keep it a shall, but it could also be a may.
So we've sent Form 1 back to the PUC, so I'll note that flag and just make sure that it's their budget that they're managing and have them sign off on it. Thank you. Page 37, line 15.
So this change is in the report section. These are the 2 check back reports that will happen in 2024 and 2025. The report shall recommend any legislative action needed to address enforcement or other aspects of the clean heat standard. This was my attempt to address Senator McDonald's concern yesterday. It possibly could be added somewhere else in the bill, but this was one place it could be added.
Senator McDonald? Maybe you could restate for the committee the concerns that the language addresses. Okay, you're good? All right, so that is the last change. So Senator Watson, if you could, at your earliest convenience, meet up with council I have edits of language to be polished on page 20, like lines 1, 2, that section, somewhere right in there. Then this next flag I have is the deforestation section, lines
Yep.
9.
Page 25.
5, right?
Sorry.
Just trying to make sure that I think those are the only 2
Deforestation section.
language pieces I'm aware of currently. If anyone has anything else, please speak with council so that we have finished language to look at tomorrow in draft 5.1. So, Senator White, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Brick. I just have one question. I was not in the room when we talked about the reporting out when it comes to dyed or undyed diesel. I know that there are folks in the agriculture world who just want to make sure that those are separated out.
In the
I believe in the report.
In the report.
Yes. Did that get addressed? And I can talk to legislative council after too, but that's the only one that I have today.
I think, are you talking about the level of detail in the reports that will come from tax and then possibly also at the PUC when they do
Yes.
their own forms?
Yes.
So I don't think we called that out in particular.
Okay. Okay, I'll touch base with council on it. It doesn't, I don't think have any substantive changes for the design of the bill, but rather making sure that folks who are in ag don't have to do an additional form potentially, but if it is separated out.
Okay. And I think it would be upstream of the ag world, as in, it would be a delivered fuel.
Yeah,
Okay, so the obligation, so, yeah, please check with, thank you, please check with council and make sure we don't have a loose end there. Thank you. All right, so committee, thank you very much for operating under dire circumstances. I appreciate everyone's patience and good tempo. Council, if we can have a draft 5-1 for tomorrow morning, I think we'll be in good shape for cleaning up and voting tomorrow. With that, thank you, committee.